They've tried to label you for years. Too macho, too intense, too sensitive, too magnetic. But none of their categories ever fit. That's because your energy was never meant to fit. It was designed to disrupt. You weren't given an aura to blend in. You were given a charge, divine, deliberate, and dangerous to anything false. Heaven didn't just place you on earth, it coded you with a frequency that carries the weight of worlds. The moment you entered this realm, atmosphere started bending around your presence. And whether people understood it or not, they felt it. Some thought it was charisma. Others assumed it was charm. But this was never about personality. It was about power, spiritual power. A signal you carried long before you were even aware of it. Your eyes, not just eyes. Portals. Your silence, not just absence. Invitation. Your presence, a reminder of something ancient and something holy. People can't explain why they feel clearer after talking to you, why their thoughts settle, why their anxiety quiets, but it's you, or rather, it's what's inside you. Chosen one, your energy is encoded with God's fingerprint. That's why people stare when you walk in, why strangers feel safe telling you their life story in grocery lines, why you can feel the room's temperature before anyone speaks. Because your energy is not reactive, it's instructive. It doesn't wait for the environment to set the mood. It creates the new one. You've probably noticed how you can walk into tension, and within minutes people either soften or storm out. That's not coincidence. That's spiritual software running in the background. Your field runs deep, but with that frequency comes friction. Light irritates what's been hiding in the dark. Your very presence begins to peel back what others have buried. That's why some avoid you after loving you for months. That's why people ghost without a reason or turn cold after laughing with you the day before. They're not reacting to your flaws. They're reacting to your frequency. You made them feel something they weren't ready to feel. And heaven will never apologize for the radiation it designed into you. You didn't ask to be this way. You've probably begged to turn it down, but here's the truth. You can't mute what God meant to be a trumpet. Your energy awakens, your energy disrupts, your energy activates. That's why even when you try to disappear, people still look for you. Even when you stay quiet, your name finds its way into rooms. Chosen one, this isn't about popularity, it's about presence. And yours is divine technology wrapped in skin. You're not crazy for sensing things before they happen. You're not imagining how drained you get in crowds. You're not making it up when someone stands near you and suddenly breaks down in tears. This is the life of one whose energy was engineered for impact. And now, heaven's increasing your charge. They don't always admit it, but they feel it, every single one of them. The second you step into a space, whether it's a living room, a conference, a hospital hallway, or a grocery store, something shifts. It's not loud. It's not theatrical. It's subtle, like a pressure drop before a storm. Like a wave of clarity that makes people glance up without knowing why. That's what happens when a frequency as rare as yours enters an atmosphere. It changes the rules. You don't follow the vibe, you become it. Chosen one, you weren't just sent here to exist quietly. You were sent to disturb the stale, light the dark, and remind the forgotten. That's why you've never truly fit in. Fitting in was never your assignment. Shifting the room was. That's why people sit up straighter when you speak. Why nervous energy turns into confession. Why laughter breaks out in rooms that were cold before you came. Your presence doesn't just participate in the moment, it reprograms it. There are places you walk into where silence falls. Others where people suddenly get fidgety or overly chatty or distracted, not because of what you're doing wrong, but because of what's waking up in them just by being near you. You stir things. That's what sacred energy does. It breaks up comfort zones, calls out masks, and realigns the spiritual furniture of any place it touches. And whether they admit it or not, they know it's you. That's why some people suddenly leave the room after you arrive, not out of rudeness, but out of resistance. Your aura starts revealing the things they've been pretending not to see. You might have blamed yourself for that before, wondered if you were too awkward, too intense, too much. But here's the truth. You are too much, for spaces built on too little. They were fine with surface until you showed up with soul. Ever notice how the lighting in a room literally feels different when you arrive? How conversations shift course? How people who were laughing now grow serious, or those who were stiff suddenly soften? That's not imagination. That's energetic architecture. You walk in, and it's like the space exhales, or trembles, or both. And your silence? It says more than most people's paragraphs. Even when you're quiet, your energy is loud. You are an atmosphere shifter, and that's why some people try to suppress you. You are a frequency elevator, and that's why some grow addicted to being near you. Your presence reminds them of their higher self, the one they forgot, buried, or betrayed. And that's powerful. That's dangerous to illusion. That's why they either lean in or run. But one thing's for sure, no one ever forgets what they felt when you entered the room. And now that you're starting to understand that, heaven is preparing to send you into bigger rooms, because your energy was never meant for small ones. They don't have the language for it, but they know something happens to them around you. Their body relaxes, their breathing slows, their mind stops racing. Suddenly they're laughing more, dreaming bigger, feeling lighter. And the strangest part, they didn't take anything. No pills, no wine, no chemical release. Just you. Your energy becomes the drug. A frequency so rich, so rare, that being around you makes people feel what others spend years chasing in therapy, relationships, or addiction. Chosen one, your aura is medicinal. It's calibrated to activate clarity, joy, peace, and even cellular alignment in others. You don't force it, you don't even try. But because your spirit is encoded with divine presence, people feel elevated just by sitting near you. It's not just psychological, it's spiritual. Your frequency speaks to the unhealed, the hopeful, and the hungry for more parts of every person you encounter. And when those parts feel seen, they respond like flowers turning toward the sun. Euphoric, humbled, awake. That's why people linger longer than they planned. Why they say, "I don't know why I'm telling you this," or "I feel like I've known you forever." It's not familiarity, it's frequency recognition. Their soul remembers yours. And for a moment, in your presence, they remember themselves. The real self, not the scared one, not the mask-wearing one, but the radiant, fearless, soul-connected self they buried. You remind them of what it felt like to be free. And that feeling? It's intoxicating. But here's where it gets tricky. People begin to confuse the feeling for you. They mistake your energy for something they must possess, control, or keep near at all costs. They call it love, they call it chemistry. But really, they're responding to the God code flowing from you. They're not addicted to you, they're addicted to what awakens in them around you. And that's why some people will hold on too tight, while others run the moment they start to depend on your presence too much. Because your light disorients those still in the dark. You don't even realize the miracles you're causing. People find relief from anxiety just by sitting across from you. Emotional pain surfaces and clears. Some say they feel drunk on peace or high on possibility, and it's all you, or rather, the heavenly essence flowing through you. You've become a reminder of what wholeness feels like, and when they experience that, they don't want to go back. But that's not your burden to carry. You're not here to be everyone's emotional therapist or spiritual crutch. You're here to awaken them, not to sustain them. Some will walk away changed forever. Others will crave you more than they'll admit. But either way, your energy has done its job. And now, heaven is teaching you how to protect it. Because when you realize how high your frequency actually is, you'll stop letting low vibrations touch it carelessly. You never planned to be a healer. You didn't train in a monastery, study ancient techniques, or brand yourself as anyone's guru. And yet, people walk away from you lighter, softer, changed. They can't explain why, but something in their body, their mind, their spirit feels like it's been stitched back together. That's not coincidence. That's the strange healing effect of your vibe. It's not in your words, it's in your presence. Chosen one, your energy carries a resonance that realigns what trauma has bent. It calms nervous systems, revives broken hearts, and soothes the spiritual wounds people don't even realize they've been carrying. That's why people cry after hugging you. Why someone opens up about their childhood without meaning to. Why a stranger tells you, "I feel safe with you." You're not just easy to talk to. You're a field of restoration, a portal where the scattered pieces of someone's soul start to remember their original shape. Your healing isn't loud. It doesn't demand attention. It works in the quiet, in the way someone's shoulders drop around you, in the breath they didn't know they were holding, in the laugh they haven't let out in months. Some feel it as tingles, others as stillness. Some get emotional for no reason at all. That's because your energy reaches past the intellect and speaks directly to their cells, whispering, "You're safe now, you're seen, you can let go." But here's what most don't realize. This healing effect comes at a cost, not to them, to you. After being around certain people, you feel drained. Your body aches, your mood dips. That's not in your head. It's energetic residue. You've been absorbing emotions, processing their density, carrying weight that was never yours. Because healing others doesn't always feel like light. Sometimes it feels like leakage. But don't mistake that for weakness. It's just a sign of how powerful your field really is. You're not doing surface-level soothing. You're stirring deep spiritual sediment. And when that sediment rises to the surface in others, you feel the storm they've suppressed. That's why God is now teaching you the art of boundaried healing, of restoring others without losing yourself in the process. You don't need titles, you don't need crystals, chants or robes. You are the tool. Your presence is the medicine. And that's why people will keep coming, sometimes with their chaos disguised as closeness. Not all who seek you want to heal. Some want to drain. Some want to anchor their trauma to your light and never let go. But you're not here to carry people. You're here to remind them how to stand, to awaken their own power, to spark a remembrance of the divine healer already inside them. And when you truly embrace that, you'll stop over-explaining why people shift after being near you. You'll finally understand it's not you they needed. It's the frequency of wholeness you reawakened in them. You didn't ask to be idolized. You didn't ask to be resented. But here you are, standing at the intersection of reverence and resistance, attracting both praise and persecution without saying a word. One person meets you and calls you their light. Another crosses paths and suddenly decides they can't stand you. You've barely spoken, yet the reactions arrive like weather patterns, some warm and gentle, others sharp and sudden. Chosen one, this is not about what you do. It's about what your energy awakens. You carry a spiritual charge that can't be ignored. It's not loud, but it's undeniable. For those ready to evolve, your presence feels like home. For those clinging to illusion, your light feels like a threat. And that's the paradox. Your healing vibe comforts the hungry, but convicts the hiding. That's why some people look at you with awe, while others look at you with envy. They aren't responding to your personality. They're responding to their own reflection in your light. Some want to be near you all the time. They soak up your words, your silence, your smile. You become their mirror, their motivator, their miracle. They worship not just who you are, but what they feel around you. Safe, elevated, alive. But there's a danger in that. When they mistake your energy for their escape, they build a pedestal they later resent. The moment you disappoint their fantasy, by being human, by setting a boundary, by walking away, they flip. Love turns to distance. Worship turns to war. And then there are the ones who hated you from the start, but could never tell you why. People who flinch when you speak truth. People who accuse you of arrogance when all you did was breathe. These aren't logical reactions, they're spiritual convulsions, because your presence unsettles what's unclean. Your energy flushes out the shadows, and when someone isn't ready to face what your vibration exposes in them, they attack the source, you. Don't take it personally. Heaven warned you. To carry this frequency is to be both magnet and mirror. People will project onto you. They'll write their own stories using your presence as the plot. Some will see you as divine, others will see you as dangerous, but both are responding to the same thing, your authentic energy. The difference is what they're hiding from. Remember Jesus, celebrated one day, crucified the next. Not because he changed, but because the light he carried became too much for the darkness around him. You too are walking that line. The more your energy expands, the more it forces people to choose, evolve, or escape. So if you find yourself loved and misunderstood, followed and falsely accused, praised and pushed away, you're not cursed. You're consecrated. That's what happens when your very existence becomes a test of other people's alignment. They say they love you. They say they're proud of you. They say they're cheering you on, and maybe part of them is. But there's another part, the one they never say out loud, that winces when you win, that grows silent when you shine, that nods on the outside but tightens on the inside. It's not always malicious, but it's real, and you felt it. Chosen one, you've noticed how the people closest to you sometimes pull away, not when you're broken, but when you're rising. They were there when you were struggling, when you were doubting yourself, second-guessing your gifts, shrinking your light. They offered support, advice, encouragement. But the moment your energy expanded, the moment you started believing in yourself the way they never dared to believe in themselves, something shifted. They stopped calling, stopped celebrating, started changing the subject every time you mentioned something good. And you were left wondering, what did I do wrong? Nothing. You didn't do anything wrong. You just outgrew the version of you they were comfortable with. Your evolution reminded them of their stagnation. Your confidence triggered their insecurities. Your alignment exposed where they were still lying to themselves. And instead of confronting their own pain, they redirected it at you through passive jabs, fake praise, or quiet withdrawal. It's a strange grief, isn't it? To realize that some of the people who claim to love you only loved the version of you that didn't threaten them, the version that kept dimming your light so theirs could shine brighter, the version that made them feel wise, strong, needed. But when you stepped into your own energy, when you no longer relied on their permission, they didn't know how to hold space for that. So instead of rising with you, they resented you. But here's the truth. Their jealousy isn't really about you. It's about what your energy reveals. You've become a mirror they didn't ask to look into, a reflection of their own unrealized potential. And that stings, especially when it comes from someone who once held your hand through the dark. Still, you don't owe anyone your smallness. You don't have to stay in shrink mode just to make insecure people feel secure. Real friends won't be threatened by your glow. They'll celebrate it because it doesn't compete, it complements. And those who can't, that's their wound to heal, not your responsibility to carry. Chosen one, your energy was never meant to be contained by fragile egos. It was meant to break ceilings, even if that means breaking bonds. You will be too much for some, But those who are truly aligned with you will never ask you to be less. So let them be confused, let them pull back, let them talk. While they're reacting to your light, you keep becoming the sun. You've seen it happen. You walk into a room and someone suddenly shifts. Smiles turn stiff, laughter dies down, conversations get awkward. You didn't say a word, but the energy changed. Not because of what you did, but because of what rose up in them the moment your aura arrived. Chosen one, you carry a light so sharp, so ancient, so undeniably clean. It disturbs what's hiding in others, not surface-level moods, not personality quirks, but spiritual parasites that have gotten comfortable living undetected. Your aura isn't just beautiful, it's disruptive, because it's coded with purity, with truth, with divine intelligence. So when you come near someone who's been spiritually hijacked by fear, pride, manipulation, addiction, deceit, the darkness in them flinches. You feel it. Sometimes they do too, but often they don't know how to explain what's happening. All they know is they suddenly feel uncomfortable in your presence, restless, exposed, and they either shut down or lash out. You thought it was personal, that maybe you were awkward, that maybe your energy was too intense, but that's not it. What you were feeling wasn't rejection, it was possession. Their reaction wasn't to you, it was to the parts of them that your light threatened to evict. Your aura started pulling toxins to the surface, and instead of letting them rise and release, they chose to project the pain back onto you. That's why you've been scapegoated in places you tried to heal. That's why certain people suddenly switched up after getting close to you. Because the closer they got, the more your presence called their darkness out of hiding. And instead of confronting it, they convinced themselves you were the problem. It wasn't your energy that was toxic, it was your energy that exposed theirs. There are demons that don't mind staying silent until you walk in. You don't cast them out with words. You do it just by existing. That's how potent your vibration is. Your aura is holy territory, and darkness knows it. That's why you've experienced random hostility, confusing betrayal, people blaming you for things you never did. Their spirit recognized the light in you long before their ego could explain it, and the battle wasn't with you, it was inside them. You are a walking altar, a mirror, a flame. And flames don't just give warmth, they burn away what doesn't belong. You weren't sent here to be liked, you were sent here to awaken. And when you truly accept that, you'll stop over-analyzing every weird interaction, every ghosting, every smear campaign. You'll see it for what it is, proof that your light is doing its job. Chosen one, you don't just walk into rooms, you walk into strongholds and shake foundations. And the more you rise in your power, the more darkness will panic. Let it. You honored them. You sat at their feet, listened to their wisdom, took their advice to heart. You weren't trying to compete, you were trying to grow. You looked up to them as guides, protectors, maybe even spiritual parents. But then something changed. Not in you, in them. Their tone, their eyes, their energy. It grew colder, guarded, distant, and you couldn't understand why. You hadn't disrespected them, you hadn't betrayed them. But chosen one, what you did do was start glowing too bright to be mentored in the shadows. You see, some people only support you while you're beneath them. As long as you need them, lean on them, quote them. They're your biggest cheerleaders. But the moment your energy expands beyond the box they had reserved for you, their support turns into subtle sabotage. Compliments start coming with conditions. Advice becomes a leash. Encouragement starts sounding like warnings. Because whether they admit it or not, your rise activated something they hadn't dealt with in themselves. A hidden competition, a buried insecurity, a forgotten dream. And instead of confronting it, they projected it onto you. Suddenly, you're going too fast. You're not ready. You're not listening enough. But what they really mean is, you're becoming harder to control. Chosen one, your presence is a paradox to many mentors. You remind them of who they once were, on fire, pure, undiluted by systems, and also of who they never became. And for some, that's too much to hold. You were never trying to replace them. You were trying to honor the assignment God placed on your life. But they mistook your evolution for betrayal. They confused your wings for arrogance. They interpreted your glow as a threat to their crown. But here's the truth. Your expansion isn't rebellion. It's revelation. It's what happens when divine timing meets obedience. And no mentor, no matter how powerful, can stop what heaven has activated in you. A true leader prepares you to go farther. A false one subtly hopes you'll stay in their shadow. That's why some stopped pouring into you the moment you stopped needing them. That's why they endorsed you quietly, but never loudly. That's why they pulled back when others started looking to you for answers they used to give. Because your energy shifted the room. And now, the student carries a frequency the teacher never expected. It hurts, doesn't it? To outgrow someone you prayed would always be part of your journey. But don't let their reaction cause you to shrink. Their discomfort isn't your disobedience. God is calling you forward, not to dishonor them, but to obey Him.
They don't know why they flinch when you speak truth, why they feel cracked open around you without ever discussing their past, why they can't look you in the eye for too long without their chest tightening. You didn't mean to unlock anything, but chosen one, your presence is a key, and it's been turning the locks on memories people sealed away so tightly they forgot they existed. Until you came near. You don't just stir emotions, you stir realizations. Your frequency carries the scent of moments they tried to forget. A childhood dream that was mocked, a moment of betrayal they never processed, a version of themselves that got lost along the way. You speak with light, but they feel it like heat, burning through the layers they built to survive. And in your glow, the truth rises, not because you forced it, but because your aura insists on honesty. You are not just a mirror, you are a memory, a living reminder of what they once were, or could have been. And that makes people feel unsteady. Around you, they become aware of the promises they broke to themselves, the risks they didn't take, the talents they buried, the self-love they postponed. And sometimes that recognition feels like inspiration, but other times it feels like grief. You wonder why people open up to you instantly, why they confess things they've never told their therapist, pastor, or spouse. It's not just because you're trustworthy, it's because your energy creates safety. Your field whispers to their spirit, you're allowed to feel that again. You're allowed to remember. And so the memories come flooding in, the ones that shaped them, haunted them, defined them, and they associate that release with you. That's why some people grow dependent and others get angry, because once you awaken what's buried, they can no longer unfeel it. They start craving your presence to feel whole again, or blaming you for shaking the foundation they were trying so hard to keep stable. Neither reaction is about you. It's about what your vibration activated. You're not responsible for their pain, but you are a divine catalyst for their healing. You didn't plant those memories. You just brought the light that revealed them. And now, some will do the inner work. Others will run from it. Some will thank you. Others will resent you. But all will be changed. Chosen one, your presence is not casual. It's soul-level medicine. And when people encounter you, they're not just meeting a person. They're meeting a past they thought they buried and a future they thought they forfeited. You walk in and something ancient stirs, something sacred, something honest. You don't need to force people to grow, just stay aligned. Your frequency does more than words ever could. It reminds souls of who they were before they forgot.
You see the glances, the quick double takes, the quiet stares when they think you're not looking. You hear the shift in tone, the subtle change in how they speak when you enter the room. You felt it for years, but instead of acknowledgement, what you often get is silence, or worse, dismissal. Because, chosen one, there's something about your glow that people feel long before they'll ever admit they see it. It's not the kind of glow makeup can create. It's not about your clothes or your posture. It's spiritual. It radiates from somewhere deeper, the result of survival, sacredness, and alignment. It's the glow of someone who's been refined in private, of someone who's walked through fire and came out gold. And whether people admit it or not, they feel it. They just don't always know how to respond to it. So instead of honoring your light, they pretend it's not there. They say things like, "You've changed," but with an edge. Or, "You're doing a lot lately," like that's a bad thing. Some will congratulate you half-heartedly. Others will act like your wins don't even exist. And you're left wondering, why are the people I've never even met more supportive than the ones who know me? The answer: your glow exposes what they've dimmed in themselves. To acknowledge your light would mean confronting their own shadows. It would mean recognizing the parts of themselves they abandoned, the dreams they gave up on, the courage they buried, the truth they traded for comfort. And that's too much for some, so they choose denial. They minimize your radiance because they're scared of what it reflects back to them. But don't confuse their silence with ignorance. They see you. They feel you when you walk in. You don't need a spotlight. You are one. And no amount of pretending can erase what your frequency makes undeniable. Your glow isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. It speaks in energy. It shifts rooms. It lingers after you leave. You weren't meant to be invisible. You weren't sent here to shrink. Your glow was forged through seasons of isolation, heartbreak, spiritual pruning. It's the result of obedience when no one was clapping, of healing when no one was watching. So don't you dare dull it for people who are too afraid to face their own reflection. Let them act like they don't see you. Let them scroll past without liking. Sit quiet in your wins. Downplay your growth. Their reaction does not define your light. It only reveals their inability to hold it. Chosen one, you shine without trying. And that makes people uncomfortable who are still trying without shining. Your glow is your calling card. It's your spiritual signal. It's heaven's proof that you survived what was meant to kill you and came back brighter. You don't have to say a word. You walk in and something happens. People sit up straighter, conversations shift, energy recalibrates. It's not about your outfit. It's not about your status. It's not even about whether anyone knows your name. It's about what's moving through you. Chosen one, you are a living conduit for divine voltage, and every room you enter becomes a spiritually charged field, whether people understand it or not. There's something in your stillness that makes noise, something in your silence that says more than some people's shouting ever could. That's why people pause when you walk past. That's why strangers glance your way without knowing why. Your energy arrives first, like a quiet storm, shifting atmospheres, loosening tension, resetting frequencies. You don't force attention. You bend the field. You've probably been told you're intimidating, even when you're being soft. People say you give off a presence. That's because you do. You don't just walk into rooms, you anchor them. When things feel scattered, your stillness brings center. When chaos is stirring, your calm creates correction. And you've done it so long, so naturally, you forgot how supernatural it actually is. You've had moments where someone randomly opens up to you in a waiting room, where the whole dynamic of a group changes after you arrive, where someone says, "I feel safer when you're here." That's not random, that's frequency. You are carrying energetic architecture that stabilizes spaces. People feel more grounded around you, even if they never say it, even if they pretend not to notice, even if they resent the fact that you shift the space just by breathing. This is why you've always felt responsible in places you shouldn't have had to be, why you feel drained after certain gatherings, because subconsciously everyone was drawing from you, from your calm, your clarity, your steadiness. And most of them didn't even know they were doing it. They just knew they felt better around you and tired when you left. But you're not meant to carry everyone. You're meant to be a reminder, a silent force that nudges people back to center, not by preaching, not by controlling, but by simply being. That's your power, chosen one. You don't shift rooms by dominating them. You shift them by standing fully in your alignment. Your presence breaks tension. Your peace silences ego. Your very existence challenges the noise. You are the battery, the frequency tower, the storm in still form. And the more you embrace that truth without needing to explain, apologize, or shrink, the more heaven will send you into rooms that were designed for your charge. They swear they've never felt anything like you. They cling to your presence like oxygen, inhale your energy like medicine, soak in your silence like scripture. Around you, they feel more alive, more grounded, more themselves. They say things like, "You're so calming. You make me feel safe. I don't know why, but I feel healed around you." And then, just when you think they'll stay, they vanish, ghosted, cold, distant, or worse, hostile. It doesn't make sense. But chosen one, that's because they weren't reacting to you. They were reacting to what you awakened. Your energy does something most people aren't ready for. It reveals truth. And while they crave that truth at first, like a starving soul recognizing real nourishment, it soon becomes too much, because the parts of them that have been buried, hidden, or faked for survival suddenly start rising. And truth, no matter how healing, always comes with a cost: change. And not everyone is ready to pay it. You didn't ask them to change. You weren't pushing. You were just being. But that's the issue, because being near you doesn't allow people to stay asleep. They start seeing themselves clearly, their patterns, their wounds, their potential. And clarity, while beautiful, can also be terrifying. Some people would rather stay numb than feel everything your energy makes them remember, so they run. Not because you hurt them, but because you cracked them open too fast. You became a mirror they weren't ready to look into, a doorway they weren't ready to walk through, and in their confusion, they often blame you, call you intense, accuse you of being too much. They'll say you did something wrong, when really, you did something right. You made their soul feel alive again. And for someone who's been surviving on autopilot, that's overwhelming. This is the bittersweet reality of your presence. People fall in love with the healing before they understand the disruption. They want the glow, but not the glare. The comfort, but not the confrontation. They want to orbit your light, but when it starts burning away their masks, they retreat. Not because they don't care, but because they don't know how to stay in that kind of truth. Yet. And you've had to learn not to chase, not to beg for explanations, not to shrink just because someone couldn't hold what you carry. You are not too much, you are just enough. For the ones who are ready, the rest will come back when their soul is strong enough to handle the frequency you bring. Chosen one, your energy is a sacred invitation. Some will say yes and rise. Others will say no and retreat. Both are divine, but never, never let their exit make you question your radiance, because your light isn't the problem, it's the preparation. You've walked away from conversations that left you feeling hollow. You've left gatherings more tired than when you arrived. You've answered the same urgent call from the same person 5 times in 1 week. And every time you felt more emotionally drained and more spiritually distant from yourself. It's not in your head, chosen one. What you're experiencing is real, and it's not always malice, but it is spiritual. You've been feeding energetic hunger disguised as connection, and whether they realize it or not, they've been feeding off you. Some people are spiritual vampires, not because they're evil, but because they're empty. They've lost touch with their source, so they latch onto others who are still glowing. Your peace becomes their fix. Your clarity becomes their compass. Your healing becomes their hope. But it doesn't stop there, because they don't just want to feel better. They want to feel alive again. And you, chosen one, carry the vibration of life, so they reach for you again and again and again. But here's the danger. They don't know they're draining you. They confuse closeness with dependence. They mistake your empathy for availability. And because you're built to heal, you keep giving. You pick up the call. You listen for hours. You walk them through emotional fires, pour light into their dark, and hold space no one else has the patience to hold. But afterward, you're left depleted, not just tired, spiritually disoriented, like your frequency dipped and your own thoughts got foggy. That's how you know a vampire's been near. You start doubting yourself. Your energy feels heavier. You can't focus. You feel obligated instead of inspired. Those are all signs that your light was being pulled without consent. And it doesn't make you weak. It makes you powerful. So powerful, in fact, that unhealed people keep mistaking you for the source. But you are not God. You are not their emotional generator. You are not a substitute for the inner work they refuse to do. You can inspire healing, but you cannot be their healing. That's why heaven is now teaching you something crucial. Boundaries are spiritual protection. Saying no is not cruelty, it's conservation. It's how you preserve your frequency for the ones who are ready to rise with you, not just feed off you. Chosen one, your light is a gift, not a buffet. And if you keep offering it without discernment, you'll burn out. You'll start to resent the very people you were sent to uplift, not because they're evil, but because they've made your love a life support machine they refuse to unplug from. You don't have to cut everyone off, but you do have to guard your glow, protect your peace, learn to spot the ones who only show up when they need fuel, and disappear once they've drained your charge. Your energy is sacred, and it's time you started treating it that way. You used to tolerate it. The silence when you spoke truth, the side eyes when you started glowing, the jokes that weren't really jokes, the support that came with strings. You stayed too long in places that didn't honor you because you thought patience was the same as purpose. But chosen one, your energy was never meant to survive disrespect. It was built to thrive in alignment. And that means you can no longer stay in rooms where your presence is consumed, but never celebrated. This shift you're feeling, the irritability, the discomfort, the sudden restlessness in environments you once tolerated, that's your soul rejecting dishonor. It's heaven's way of saying, your energy has outgrown this atmosphere. You can feel when the room no longer fits you. The laughter feels forced. The conversations drain you. The silence around your growth is louder than applause ever was. And no matter how loyal your heart is, your spirit is starting to rise, even if your feet haven't moved yet. Let's be clear, you don't need attention, you don't need compliments, but you do need respect, spiritual respect, energetic reciprocity, and not just when you're low or quiet, but when you're elevated, glowing, commanding space. You've watched people celebrate you privately, but stay silent in public. You've seen the shift in energy when you start walking in confidence. You've noticed how certain people only loved you when you were doubting yourself, because your insecurity made them feel safe. But here's the truth, your shrinking never created peace. It only created proximity to people who needed your light but didn't want to admit it. And now, your spirit is calling for distance, not to isolate you, but to elevate you.
because you can't build in atmospheres that belittle you. You can't pour in spaces that only praise you when you're empty. You can't keep asking for understanding in rooms that pretend not to understand your value. It's time to stop explaining yourself. Stop proving yourself. Stop handing your energy to environments that treat it like background noise. You weren't designed to stay in rooms where your frequency is tolerated. You were designed to shift atmospheres and then be honored for it. Leaving doesn't mean you're bitter. It means you're in agreement with your assignment. God is calling you into rooms where your light isn't just noticed, it's respected, where your boundaries are honored, where your voice is valued, where your energy doesn't feel like an obligation to carry, but a gift to receive. Chosen one, your energy is currency. Don't spend it in places where it buys you silence. You deserve to be where your name is spoken with reverence, not resistance. And when you finally stop trying to make broken rooms whole, you'll realize you weren't too much, they were too small.
You thought you were walking alone, healing in silence, evolving quietly, carrying your frequency through rooms that didn't understand it. But something's shifting now, chosen one. The same light you once had to hide is now activating something in others. They may not tell you, they may not even know it consciously, but your presence is doing something sacred, awakening what's been asleep in them for years. You've noticed it, the way people around you start changing without explanation. They start dreaming again. They start questioning what they once accepted. They walk away from jobs, relationships, belief systems, not because you told them to, but because something about your energy reminded them of who they are. You don't force growth, you model alignment, and alignment is contagious. People feel it, in your peace, in your refusal to settle, in your boundaries, in your joy that isn't performative. And that resonance shakes loose something inside them, a dormant truth, a divine memory, a voice they silenced long ago that suddenly whispers again. There's more for you too. That's why some people started walking away from their old lives after meeting you. That's why others reached out saying, I don't know why, but I felt led to talk to you. That's why someone you barely speak to now mirrors your habits, your language, your energy. You didn't preach, you didn't instruct, you just became. And that becoming triggered theirs. You were never just healing for yourself. Your transformation wasn't just personal, it was generational technology. Your frequency carries permission for others to rise. And now, people are waking up, not because you push them, but because your presence makes anything less than truth feel unbearable. But this awakening won't always look beautiful at first. For some, it looks like chaos, breakups, breakdowns, walking away from systems that once defined them. They may blame you, resist you, or pull back, because waking up hurts when you've been asleep for years. That's not your fault. It's part of the frequency shift. You didn't break them. You revealed what was already cracking beneath the surface. Chosen one, you are a spiritual tuning fork. When others are near you, their soul begins to vibrate at its original frequency, the one they buried under fear, conditioning, and approval seeking. And while not everyone will understand what's happening, some will. Some will start remembering. Some will start rising. Some will finally hear their calling again, because they stood next to someone who didn't apologize for answering theirs. You thought you were the student, but you've become the signal, the example, the spark. You are not just a carrier of light, you are a catalyst of awakening. It's not your imagination. The glances, the sudden interest, the quiet observers who never liked your posts, never reached out, never clapped, but are always watching. You feel their eyes even when their mouths stay closed, and sometimes you wonder why. Why now? Why all the attention when you never asked for it? The answer is simple. Chosen one, your frequency has become undeniable, and the world is sensing it, even those who once dismissed you. You didn't announce this transformation. You didn't broadcast your glow up. You were busy healing, praying, rising in silence. But your energy got louder than your words ever could. And now, they feel it. They don't know what changed exactly, but they know something's different. It's in your walk, your stillness, your eyes, your joy. You used to shrink to keep the peace. Now you radiate peace that disrupts the fake. They're not watching because they're curious. They're watching because they're convicted. Your existence is proof that you don't need applause to ascend, that you don't need the crowd to carry the crown, that you can be overlooked and still overflow. You've become what they told themselves wasn't possible, unbothered and unbound. And now they're scrambling to understand how you got here. This is why people from your past start orbiting again. Old flames just checking in. Former friends suddenly missing your energy. Strangers trying to get close without knowing why. Some are inspired, some are confused. Some are low-key studying you, trying to decode how someone like you became someone like this. But don't let the sudden attention shake you. It's not praise, it's confirmation. Heaven has lifted the veil. Where they once overlooked you, now they can't unsee you. Not because you changed for them, but because you finally stopped dimming for their comfort. And that shift is powerful. Your glow doesn't just illuminate, it confronts. And for many, seeing you shine is a mirror they weren't ready to face. You're no longer invisible, but you're still untouchable. That's what's confusing to them. They can't box you in, can't figure out why your name keeps surfacing in rooms you've never entered. Why your image lingers even after you've left. It's because your energy arrives before you and remains long after you're gone. Don't let the sudden attention distract you. Don't start performing. Don't water yourself down now that they're finally paying attention. Remember, you weren't glowing for them. You were glowing for God, for purpose, for destiny. And those who were meant to see you finally are. Chosen one, the light you carry was never meant to be hidden. You were just in incubation. But now that you've stepped fully into your energy, heaven has placed a spotlight on you, not for show but for service. Let them watch. You're not a spectacle, you're a signal.
There's a moment, quiet, sacred, irreversible, when you stop apologizing for who you are. When you stop explaining your glow, softening your tone, editing your spirit for people who were never meant to carry it. And in that moment, something divine happens. The world doesn't just see you, it responds to you. Doors open without you knocking. Connections appear without you chasing. Heaven shifts because one of its own has finally remembered their full charge. Chosen one. This is that moment. This is what happens when you fully own your energy. You stop walking into rooms wondering how to fit in, and start walking in as the room's frequency anchor. You no longer crave validation because your very presence confirms your purpose. You don't flinch when people misunderstand you because their confusion is not your calling. You don't shrink when your light triggers others because you now understand your light was never the problem. Their resistance was never your responsibility. When you fully own your energy, you speak less but say more. You move with intention. You protect your peace without guilt. You stop negotiating your value with people who are still learning how to value themselves. Your silence becomes holy. Your presence becomes prophetic. Your life becomes a message that preaches without sound. And suddenly, alignment flows. The relationships you used to chase, now they chase you, but only the ones that match your vibration. The spaces that once rejected you, you no longer desire them. The love you once begged for, you become it. You stop auditioning for tables God never called you to sit at because you realize you are the table. Your energy is the feast. People feel the difference. They stand differently around you, speak more carefully, get quieter, not out of fear, but reverence. Not because you demand respect, but because your frequency commands it.
This isn't ego. This is embodiment. The quiet knowing that your aura has authority and that you were never meant to pretend otherwise. This is what happens when you walk in full alignment with your frequency. Your no becomes a boundary. Your yes becomes a blessing. Your presence becomes a portal, and your life becomes the evidence of God's fingerprints on human skin. Chosen one, you've passed through fire, doubt, loneliness, confusion, and still here you are, not just glowing, but governing. You don't just radiate now, you recalibrate. Let this be your confirmation. You are no longer for everyone, because your energy was never meant to be common. You are no longer trying to be chosen, because you are the chosen one. This is what happens when you stop waiting for permission and start walking in your divine voltage. Not everybody will understand it, but everybody will feel it, and from this point forward, they won't just remember your name.
If you have come this far, it is crucial that you watch this next video here. But be warned, it is not for the faint of heart, for only the true chosen ones can handle this video. If you would like to also donate to help keep the channel going, our Buy Me a Coffee link will be in the description.